Alright, so our cutting board is out of clamps now and it's ready to surface. The surface is still uneven. It's always going to be like that when you're building one of these. So I'm going to use the RO150 Rotex sander in the Rotex mode with a 60 grit granite paper. And that'll take off this top layer really quickly. And the reason we're going to use a granite paper is because granite is designed to avoid clogging. And with all this, there's still some dried up glue on the surface, so we really want to maximize the sanding efficiency. So after sanding it down smooth and getting the roughness out, we're going to move on and get a final finish. We'll go up to 150. It's going to be finished with mineral oil, so you don't really need any too fine grit for a final finish. So we'll use the random orbital mode in the Rotex 150 to achieve that. Let's get started. Now that the board is all sanded, we're going to go ahead and just make a simple cross cut and square up the edges. I'm using the TS55R right here with the standard blade. It's excellent for cross cutting, and it will handle the 30mm cutting board without any problems. With a round over bit installed in my OF1010, I'm going to round over the edges of this cutting board. What I'm going to do is cut the end grain first, because if there's any tear out on the end grain near the corners, and there's definitely a tendency to do so, when I clean up along the long grain edges, that's going to clean it up. So what I'll do is I'll route both end grain edges first. With the routing done, this board is pretty much finished. We're just going to put a little mineral oil on it. And this will help protect the wood and also give it a slightly nicer looking, darker color. We don't want to use something like a varnish. We want to use mineral oil. And this is commonly sold in like a grocery store. I got this particular one at Target. It's sold at Mineral Oil USP, which means it's a pharmaceutical grade. It's a laxative. But we won't be using it for that. We're just going to finish off this board here. So what I'll do is I'll flood the surface, and I will let it soak in. Just going to spread it around with this towel. And you probably want to recoat it about once a month. And that gives it renewed protection. You see the color of the wood really come out when you put this oil on. I'll just let it soak in on this side. So after that gets soaked in, we'll wipe it down and apply a few more coats, and then it's ready to go. And there you have it, a nice and elegant Christmas present, all made possible with a few handheld Festools. Hey, if you've got a table saw, jointer, or planer, feel free to use it. But this is definitely possible without the use of stationary power tools. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time in the shop.